All right, so my friends, welcome. Set review, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. We're going over every single card. Constructed, limited. We did white, blue, black, and red. You missed those, go watch them on YouTube. We're doing green right now. Again, going over all the cards and a full set review. I want to remind you all, 10 new brews is coming up. That'll be next Thursday. We got Bronze Monday coming up for drafting. Look for that as well. My articles at coolstuffinc.com, my Twitch stream. It's all going. It's all going. It's content all the time, right? So make sure you follow, like, comment, subscribe. Do all the usual stuff to support me, and you're all great. All right? I love you all. Also, Paladar pre-release. Don't forget, if you're a YouTube member or Twitch sub, I run a free tournament in my Discord for all my subscribers. Has prizes, 4 rounds of Paladar pre-release. Super awesome. It's the Sunday after it releases, all right? Look for that as well. Let's jump right into green. Green. It's not easy being green. Azusa's Many Journeys. Ah, yes, Azusa, playing those lands, playing landy stuff. 2 mana for a saga. Chapter 1, play an extra land. Now, this is like not always as good as it looks. If you've ever cast Exploration in a cube draft and wondered why it wasn't that good, it's because these extra land effects, you really got to build around them or they don't really do anything. You have 3 lands in your hand. You play this on turn 2. You play a land, extra land on turn 2. Then turn 3, you just don't play a land. You need to have a lot of land drops to make these cards work. Azusa, of course, in Modern, play with the bounce lands. You got to have a plan for it, though. And without the card draw like Explore, it's just an okay effect. It's not great. It's just an okay. Oh, it's important to note, though, that the dual... Oh, that's illegal. Yeah, the spell lands from Zendikar Rising are a way to do that, which is kind of cool. But, sure. Chapter 2, gain 3 life. That's fine. Chapter 3, flip it over to Likeness of the Seeker. A 3/3 for, 3 or 3/3. Whenever it is blocked, untap up to 3 lands you control. It's not really the biggest payoff, huh? So very weird card. You can play an extra land, but you don't draw any cards. You can gain a few life, which is fine. Then you get this weird kind of crappy creature that doesn't really do much. This card's weird. Not really about it. In limited, it's fine. Limited, you don't mind just like playing 2 mana for a 3/3, getting a few points of life, sure. But constructed wise, this card's not there. Not really seeing it. Definitely not fast bond. Up next, we have Bamboo Grove Archer. This card I like a lot. So, of course, Channel returns. Channel is an ability where you can pay a cost and discard the card to get a spell-like effect. As I've been saying, all set review. Look at these channel cards for the channel cost first, then the creature. All right, the better effect is usually the channel effect. So we see here, channel, 5 mana, discard this, kill a flyer. That's a 5 mana plummet. That's not necessarily great, but it's a flexible thing to have access to. And then this card is just a 2/2, or I'm sorry, a 3/3 for 2. They can block really well, blocks flyers. I love cards like this. It's really important in limited to be able to add to the board. The plays you make have to add to the board because it's such an on the board format. You can't risk falling behind. So a card like this, where early on it's just gonna sit there and block or whatever, and give you time to do things later, is pretty sweet, honestly. And then has the utility of, well, later in the game, maybe it's channel, it kills the dragon or whatever. So solid card. It's definitely a little bit of a possible sideboard card. But if your deck just needs to block early, it's super reasonable. Like this card a lot. Super cool limited card. Not a card you're like slamming early, but a card you'll take late and be happy to play. Up next is Bearer of Memory. We have a 3 mana for a 3/2 enchantment creature. Pay 6, put a counter on a creature. Enchantment creature, and it gains trampled end of turn. This is a good mana sink. One of the important things in limited. People complain about limited sometimes, where they'll say, like, I just flood all the time. If I flood, I lose. I can't win. I just flood a lot. It's important when you're drafting to have a plan for that. If you just like flood out in 3 or 4 games or whatever, like that's partly your fault. Because you didn't build your deck in a manner to take advantage of the mana. So this is a good card to have access to. The body's fine. It's a 3/2. It's an enchantment creature, so it has some relevant synergies. And then as the game goes on, you start flooding out. Now you have a thing to do with that mana that augments your board as the game goes on. So is this a solid limited common? Is this a card you're slamming first pick? No, absolutely not. But is a card you play? Obviously you'd want to be using the enchantment in some way. Things like that. It blocks okay. It's just a very reasonable card. Not an amazing card. A card you're not going to play every time either. But if your deck is trying to check the boxes off and the box for mana sink isn't checked off yet, this card can do that for you. Up next is Blossom Prancer. Oh, God. Reading glasses. Hold on. Hold on. For those who don't know, this set is the wordiest set in the history of Magic the Gathering. Frank Carson crunched the numbers, obviously. The wordiest set of all time. Wordiest set of all time. Blossom Prancer is a 5 mana 4/4 reach, which is honestly pretty fine on rate right there for limited. When it ETBs, look at the top 5 cards. You may reveal a creature or enchantment card from among them, put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. If you didn't do it this way, gain 4 life. This is a phenomenal limited card. Phenomenal limited card. This is 4/4 for 5 reach, which is already almost playable by itself. And then it either draws a card or gains 4 life. So if you're behind, you can gain some life. If you need some cards, most of the time you're going to draw a card with it. But this card is awesome. Slam dunk first pick in limited. Really, really, really good card. Really, really, really good card. Constructed, obviously not. You can get a lot more for 5 mana. But in limited, it'd be very hard to ask for a better limited card than this. Very, very rock solid first pickable card. Up next is Boon of Besseju. 2 mana for an instant. Creature gets +X/+X will end of turn. Where X is the greatest mana value among permanents you control, untap it. Prepare to die if this card is limited a lot. Just gonna be 6/6, +6/+6 out of nowhere, and they're dead. So, reasonable trick. You know, if this is giving +3/+3, it's not very good. +4/+4, it's okay. But the fact that this scales so well later in the game, it can be +6/+6 is reasonable. A little untapped value also. I don't love mid-level tricks in limited, but this one does pretty well. This one does pretty well, and then it scales well as well, which is pretty important. So, I like this card. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Up next, a little pixel art here on Besseju Reaches Skyward. We have an uncommon saga. 4 mana, search your library for 2 basic forests, put them in your hand, then shuffle. So not to the battlefield. This is not vegetation. This is not cultivate. That part's a little iffy. So, 4 mana, draw 2 cards, not great. Chapter 2, put up the 1 target land card from your graveyard on top of your library. That's just not gonna come up ever. Why would you ever want to do that? That's not very good. Unless you're channeling, rare lands, something like that. Not a very good ability there, right? Third chapter is the Branch of Besseju. We have a reach creature. We basically have a random 7 token here. So reach creature, plus it is sized as the number of lands you control. That's a good body. That's a good body for sure. So in limited, you're not getting much for a while, but when you do get it, it is very good. The problem is that middle turn is just pretty freaking bad. Chapter 2 is basically blank, and Chapter 1 doesn't actually affect the board. So this one feels like the kind of card to me where maybe in sealed, or if you have a lot of removal spells or a lot of good defensive cards in your deck, this card can be a way to win the game. But playing this card as a tempo black hole. The end result is very good, but those 2 turns are going to be rough. So be very aware of that. You need to have a plan for what's going to happen in the turns where Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 go off. If you don't have a plan, you're going to have a bad time. All right. So I would say this is an okay kind of card. The kind of card where if your deck is slow, has a lot of kill spells, doesn't have a way to win, this can fill that role. But otherwise, not so great. Not so great. Honestly, this card is a great lesson in tempo. Play this card. See how it plays. And it'll give you an idea of why it's so important to be able to add to the board. Every turn limited. All right, moving on to Careful Cultivation, another channel card that's much more focused on the channel effect than the card itself. So we have an aura here, 3 mana aura. An enchanted artifact creature gives it +1/+3, reach, and add 2 mana. Not very good. Creature auras like this aren't very good. They're very, 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 very risky and tenuous, not very good. The channel ability is 2 mana for a Llanowar Elf. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. It's a surprise Llanowar Elf too. So this can ambush an X1. Super cool card. In limited for sure as far as ramping goes. And then constructed, if you're just looking for a creature, this is an uncounterable creature. Polymorph and friends, etc. Whatever that card's called. That indomitable creativity, etc. So this is a pretty cool card. Channeling for a Llanowar Elf is pretty sweet. Uncounterable. Card's cool. Channel is instant speed. It's an activated ability. So, uncounterable, instant speed, Llanowar Elf. This card's cool. This card's cool. And again, a big lesson in these channel cards, look at the channel effect before the card itself, because the channel effect is often better. It's often better. Possible fringe constructed playable card, and then in limited, very reasonable. Very reasonable. Up next is Coiling Stalker. 2 mana for a 2/1 ninja, a snake ninja, our first ever green ninja, right? And we got 2/1 here. Whenever it does combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. Doesn't have a counter on it. So the red-green mechanic is modify. It wants to see modify creatures. This card does that very well. It's a 2/1 for 2, which is fine anyway. You can ninja it in, get some counters going. Just a solid 2-drop. Solid draft common. Very reasonable. Very reasonable. Commune with Spirits is next. And only goes 4 cards deep, but still pretty good. 1 green sorcery. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. May reveal an enchantment or land card among them. Put it in your hand, rest in the bottom. So this is Ancient Starrings, but for artifacts. This card is good. If this card was 5 cards, I'd be all about it. Only 4 isn't as good. But if you're playing a deck that's hugely enchantment focused, this one's pretty good. Even as far back as like, modern, legacy, historic, Enchantress, playing this card on turn 1 to go find your engine card. This card's good. This card's good. It has a bit of a problem in that it's not self-perpetuating. So this is a non-enchantment card to go in your enchantment deck. But it finds enchantments. Finding lands a great backstop. I love seeing these sort of like ponder effects in non-blue colors. Like this card a lot. Definitely constructed playable. Like for sure in various formats. Limited wise, I'd want to be playing a lot of enchantments, but this card's certainly reasonable. Cool card. Commune with Spirits, but doesn't grab spirits. Flavor Judge. Again, I wish it was 5 cards, but still fine. Up next is Dragon Kami Reborn. Saga, rare, 3 mana. Chapter 1 and 2. Gain 2 life. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Exile 1 of them face down with a hatching counter on it. Then put the rest of them in the bottom of your library. Flips over to an 0/1 egg. Whenever it or a dragon you control dies, you may cast a creature spell from among the cards you own in exile with a hatching counter on it without paying its mana cost. Why does this care about dragons dying? Like, dragons don't explode into things, right? That doesn't make any sense flavor-wise either. Flavor Judge! We gotta get a Flavor Judge on stash. I gotta hire a Flavor Judge for sure. This card sucks. This card needs so much to go right for it to be good. You need to, like, actively hit a card you want to get. Then you need to, like, have this card actually die. It just doesn't do anything for such a long time. And even then, it might not do anything anyway. This card sucks. This card's just not good. It's a cute card. Very similar to past egg cards. Kind of cute. Could be really good, but just not good at all. And then I wouldn't even let this card in limited, honestly. I mean, like, maybe in limited you, like, can get 2 spells off of it, which might be good, but it's not a very exciting card. Up next, Fade into Antiquity. 3 mana for an exiling sorcery speed disenchant. This card is main deckable. This card is probably, honestly, a pretty high pick in limited, because everyone's got artifacts and enchantments. Being a sorcery sucks. Costing 3 kind of sucks. But realistically, it's just a solid removal spell. Constructed playable if for some reason exiling enchantments are really important. But it's a card. I know this card looks like a sideboard card, but be aware there are so many artifacts and enchantments in the set. It's going to do something at some point for sure. Up next is Fang of Shigeki. We have our usual 1 mana Death Toucher for 1. It's an enchantment creature. It's a fine limited card. Is what it is. I mean, obviously, Tajaru Blightblade saw play constructed as a sideboard card in mono green, so it could see play constructed, but this card does, whatever. Favor of Jukai. Again, we have another channel card. 4 mana Aura, +3/+3 in reach. Wouldn't play this card ever. But the channel ability is 2 mana to discard this and Giant Growth. That's not bad. It's not great. I tend to not like the 2 mana +3/+3, no other abilities pump spells very much because they're kind of just clunky and crappy. But this is uncounterable. And then it has the ability to just like, okay, we're a little later in the game. I draw this. I have a 4/4 flyer in play or whatever. Now it's in a 7/7. You don't necessarily want to go all in with your aura, but having the option later isn't bad either. So reasonable card. Again, not a card I'm taking high ever, but a card I wouldn't be unhappy to play if I need a pump spell in my deck. Reasonable. Up next is Generous Visitor, and this card is really, really freaking good. As I've been saying, Not a lot of good one drops in the format, and this is a great one. This is a great one. Also, I mean, just like, look at that freaking thing, you know? But this card's great. One mana on one. It's a spirit. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a counter on target creature. It can be this or something else. So this is huge because obviously modify is a major mechanic in red and green. This thing will modify all over the place. It modifies everything. You know, there are a ton of enchantment creatures, which are pretty great. And then putting counters whenever you want to is really, really good because you want to size up in the spots you want to size up. This card is almost like a 1 mana Luminarch Aspirant in your enchantment deck, you know? So super, super good card. Love how it scales. I love how it modifies too. So very good card. Great card and limited as long as you're playing enough enchantments. And then this is the card constructed that like makes enchantments a playable deck. Super cool. Super cool. Up next is Geothermal Commie. It's like the for meteorologist players, I guess. I don't know, whatever. So really weird looking thing. Format for a 4/3. When it ETBs, you may return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand. If you do, gain 3 life. Card's pretty cool. You get to like reset your sagas. You can just bounce a cheap enchantment to do it over again. Sizing wise, it's fine. A 4/3 for 4 is fine. Gain life is fine. This card is definitely going to be one of those cards where it's like you don't always play it, you don't take it high, but it could be a card in your deck. If you need a 4-drop, have some sagas. It's there for you. It's there for you, looking all round and weird and stuff. Up next is Gogo Shintai of Balanced Vigor. This is the green shrine. I know I keep saying it, but shrine is not a creature type. I'm sorry. I know it's very confusing. Your changelings aren't shrines. I'm sorry. So we have a 1/1 trample for 2. End step, pay 1. When you do, put a counter on a shrine for each shrine you control. So this card as a shrine sucks because all the shrines in the set just blow. They're all awful. I'm sorry. They're just not good. I like shrines. I like doing wacky stuff. But reality is that what made shrines passable was that they were hard to interact with. And you can just Doomblade this. So whatever. As a creature, though, this card's good. It's just a 1/1 for 2. It's basically a 2/2 for 3 with trample. You pay 1. It grows every turn. It's modified. And it's a card with scale. So in limited, this card just scales as the game goes on. And as I always say in limited, that's a huge aspect. Games of limited get bogged down sometimes, where players can't really attack or advance their board and just stare at each other. Whenever you have a card that scales up every turn, that's huge because eventually you'll break the stalemate and you have a thing that your opponent has to deal with. So this card's great. Great limited card. Like this card a lot. Constructed, no. But as far as limited goes, it checks off a lot of boxes. It's an enchantment. It modifies. It scales up pretty well. It's 2-drop. Very, very solid card. Definitely the best shrine for a limited solid card. And it just has no creature type. Those who are asking. It has no creature type at all. That's I don't know. I don't make the rules. Moving on to Grafted Growth. 3 mana for an aura enchant land. EDBs, put a counter on a creature you control. Land taps for 2 colors, mana of any color. These cards almost always suck. It's a reasonable modify enabler, but you don't want to play a crappy aura on turn 3 in that deck. It could be a enabler for like a multicolor deck, but you don't want the counter then. These cards usually just suck, honestly. It is what it is. Greater Tanuki. Got your Tanuki suit from Mario 3. Anyone? 6 mana for a 6/5 trample. It's fine. Channel, rampant growth. That's pretty cool, honestly. This card's pretty sweet on both sides. So would you want to play a uncountable rampant growth? Not really. Would you want to play a 6 mana 6/5 trample? Not really. Would you want to play both? Yeah. The option here is great. A 6/5 trample is totally fine. It battles well. It's a good boomer in late game. It's a rampant growth if you want it. It's a mana fixture if you want it. It's instant speed, which is super cool. So you can say go, it's a mana up, end step, get a splash land. Card's great. I like it a lot. Card's super sweet. I'm all about it. Up next is Harmonious Emergence. We have a 4 mana aura, enchant land you control. It's a 4/5 green spirit land with vigilance and haste. It's still a land. And if it be destroyed, it goes away. So this one's definitely better than the red one. Because, on turn 5, you can cast this. It's got haste. It's a 4/5. It's a 4/5 vigilance. The body's really, really good. It's also a modified creature. And the sizing actually matters here. The random crappy 3/3 from the red one kind of sucks. But a 4/5 vigilance is pretty good. So This is a lot better. I like this card. It's enchantment also. Vigilance is huge. You can also use it for mana as well. So I like this card a lot. This one doesn't feel as bad because you don't really lose the land with vigilance. You can attack with it and then tap for mana later, which is kind of cool too. So this card's good. I like this card. Constructed, no, but limited seems good. Seems good. Heir of the Ancient Fang. The mana for a 2/3. ETBs with a counter on it if you control a modified creature. It's kind of a snowball modified creature. If you already have a modified creature, now you get another one. And a 3/4 for 3 is pretty good also. So if you're a modified deck, good card. Good card. Unlimited. Historian's Wisdom. The mana for an enchantment. Aura. A lot of auras. Enchant artifact or creature. When it ETBs, if enchanted permanent is a creature with the greatest power among creatures on the battlefield, draw a card. So a little iffy. As long as it's permanent, it gets +2/+1. This card is a little weird because typically you want to put your aura on your smaller creature because you want to put not all your eggs in one basket. But this makes you want to draw a card. Card just seems kind of It does give the pump before the condition, sure. So I guess if this card like draws a card most of the time, it's pretty good. It also augments too. That's fair. That's fair. I didn't process that because it's like written before it. So it counts the +2/+1 on the creature. So it will usually draw a card. If this card usually draws a card, then it's pretty good. Then it's pretty good. It's a way to modify your creatures. This card's fine. Not great, but fine. Sure. Constructed, no. Constructed, no. All right, our next card here is Invoke the Ancients. This is the green entry into the Invoke cycle, and probably the best one. Probably the best one here. This card is good. Green, 1. Sorcery. Make 2 4/5 green spirit tokens. For each of them, put your choice of a vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter. This is 5 mana for 8 trample power over 2 bodies. That really, really good. Really, really good. Better than Ren 7. Different kind of card. But a curve topper here? Oh my god. Whew. Holy moly. A little hard to cast. Good Seeker's Chariot. But yeah, this card's probably just like better than Ren 7 is in those mono green decks. Just an unbelievable amount of power. It's also like, if your opponent wraths you, just untap and cast this card, they're just like, oh shit, I got a wrath again. So this card's great. It's obviously a little narrow as what you can cast it in, but yeah, great green card. Just a beating. Just a super, super great card. In limited, it's just unbelievable. Just 2 huge modified creatures, but yeah, this card's great. Card's super awesome. Real good. Real good. Close to a sleeper in the best in show, but not quite. Super good card. Super good card. Up next, Jugen defends the temple. The worst of the original Kamigawa dragons defends the temple. The mana for a saga. So it's a mythic saga. Chapter 1, make a land or elf. That's okay. Chapter 2, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each of up to 2 target creatures. Or put a counter on equal, whatever. Put a counter on up to 2 +1/+1 counters on 2 different creatures. Got it. And then chapter 3, you flip it. What do you get? You get the Remnant of the Rising Star. 2/2 flyer. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters on that creature. As long as you control 5 or more modified creatures, Remnant gets +5/+5 and is trample. So this card is just like, okay. The mana for Alana Rolf is not very good. But then the boosting effect the next turn is also, it's okay. Turn 4, 2 +1/+1 counters is not great. You flip it and you get a 2/2 with flying. The ability on a 2/2 is okay. It's similar to that like Archer card from a long time ago, where you can like kicker your cards to make them bigger. Just like okay, And then the flavor text here of like 5 more modified creatures constructed is almost impossible. That'll never happen. So constructed, not great. Not great. Not really big on this card. Not really big on it. In limited, however, holy moly, this card's like unbeatable. Just like you couldn't ask for more. Because you have time to use the counters. You have time to use the ability. Limited honky chonky bomb. Just slam that one down. But constructed, not really. Not really. Just okay. Just okay. Up next is Jakai Preserver. 4 mana for a 3/3. When an ETBs, put a counter on a creature you control. Channel. 3 mana, discard this, put a counter on each of the 2 creatures you control. This card's real good. The floor here is a modified 4/4 for 4, which is great. Also an enchantment creature. The ceiling is you can pump your other stuff up also. And then the channel ability is also great too. Putting 2 counters on 2 creatures. There's possibly a 2-for-1 in combat also. So, card's great. Top flight green common. I don't want to call it the best green commons. I haven't seen them all yet, but this card seems very, very good in limited. Very, very good. Doing basically everything you could ever want. Everything you could ever want in a game of limited. Bread and butter. Better than bread and butter. This is like a garlic bread and cheese card. Jukai Trainee. 2 mana for a 2/2. It's a bear. It's got Bushido. Let's hear it for Bushido. Who knows what Bushido is? Raise your hand in chat. YouTube folks, to comment of the day if you know what Bushido is. It's got Bushido. Bushido 1. So Bushido is an ability that did exactly this. Bushido X gets +X on a turn whenever it attacks your blocks. So this card's good. This is a 2/2 for 2. It's hard to block. It blocks and attacks as a 3/3. Or gets blocked. It's a 3/3, which is pretty good. Just a solid 2-drop. All right, so we have Kami of Transients. Best in show. This card just seems really, really, really good. 2 mana for a 2/2. It's got trample. If you cast an enchantment spell, put a +++ counter on it. That's good. So it scales up really, really well, obviously. Then, beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return it from your graveyard to your hand. So it dies, and if an enchantment dies at any point later on, it goes back to your hand. This card seems sweet. I don't know exactly what you want to do with this card. Chat's flipping out right now. Chat's flipping out. This card's right. You suck. Yeah. I think this card's good. I don't know. I haven't built the deck yet for it to know if there's enough enchantments for it. But this card's sweet. It would be a lot better if it was an enchantment. If this card was an enchantment itself, I think it would be insanely good. I think it would be insanely good. But it's 2/2 trample. It grows. And the important part is that the fact that it comes back when an enchantment dies means that they kill it and it comes back. They kill it, it comes back. That's that sort of like Bloodghast effect. I think this card could be playing constructed. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But the card seems super sweet to me. In limited, absolute bomb. Just absolute bomb. But don't underestimate how powerful the ability of this is to keep coming back over and over again. Because that's really, really good. It's really, really good. So that's the best in show. Kami of Transients. And it returns to your hand, but it's cheap. It just costs 2. So that's the card. The art's pretty cool too. We'll see. Chad is upset right now. Really upset. You two folks, let me know what you think, all right? Let me know what you think, all right? And let's move on here. Let's go with auras too. It's true. Moving on to Kappa Tech Wrecker. This has got to be a joke, right?
Somebody's playing a prank on me.
This has got to be a joke, right? This is like a fan-made card. It's a Ninja Turtle, and it has Kappa in the name. Come on. Let's get real here. But the reality is, the card's actually pretty good. We have a 1/3 for 2. ETBs with a Death Touch counter on. So it's a 1/3 Death Touch for 2, which is already pretty reasonable. Has an ninja ability, and then whenever it deals damage to a player, you may remove a Death Touch counter from it if you do shatter something. So it's a 1/3. It can ninja. It can shatter stuff. It has Death Touch. It's just a reasonable card, honestly. Just a reasonable card. And the art is going to get somebody sued, probably. But there you go. This card's good. And limited seems great. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. It's actually a turtle ninja. Completely different. It's not Leonardo. No way, no how. Moving on to Kodama of the West Tree. This card was close to my sleeper card. I think this card's pretty good. On first glance, the other Kodamas are big fancy cards. This is just a 3/3 for 3, sure. Modified creatures you control trample, sure. But the effect here is really good. Whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search the library for a basic land card, put it in the battlefield, tap, and shuffle. So every modified hit with this thing in play, rampant growth. So if you just go modified creature on 1, modified creature on 2, Cast this on 3, attack, you can double ramp, which is insane. And we're talking about, the cards that have, like, counters already on them. You're talking about cards like Luminarch Aspirant, maybe. It's not that hard to get counters everywhere. And ramping up like that's pretty insane. It is the kind of card that, like, needs stuff to have to happen. Like, you need to put these crappy, like, modify-esque cards in your deck. And then, like, you also need to build towards something. So, for example, Stonecoil Serpent would be a really good card with this card because it's a cheap enabler that also pays to have heavy mana later. But this card's pretty cool. I like it. Pretty cool card. Ranger class and friends, add some counters, Luminarch Aspirant. Card's cool. Gonna be a fun build around. Not overtly insanely powerful, but cool card. I like it. Limited, phenomenal. Obviously, it's just a good body with good effects. But yeah, cool card. I like it. Cool card. Kura, the Boundless Sky. No awards, but this card is really, really good. To the point where it's not like the best dragon, but this card's very, very good. I think this card's very, very solid. So we have a 5 mana 4/4 Flying Death Touch. This card blocks great. Great blocker. The triggers are you can choose to either search for 3 lands, any lands you want. You can get Tron if you want to. Probably not very good. Or you can create a spirit token that's basically a Ren token with no reach, which is also pretty good. So the thing about this card is if exiling and removal is super prevalent, this card's not going to be great. But if it's not, you play this thing, your opponent can never attack into it. And if they kill this card, you just get a 5/5, which is also good too. So is it a static XX or is it a variable XX? That I'm not sure, actually. It's probably static, actually. But still, Killer's going to 5/5. Again, might not see play. I'm not like super high on the card, but it is pretty good. It is a pretty cool effect. It's pretty cool. It is static. It's static. Okay, sure. So it'll be a 5/5 or a 6/6 or whatever. But card's cool. Will it see play? I don't know. But obviously bomb unlimited. Maybe it's outclassed and constructed, but it's cool. It's a cool card. It's cool to see the Green Dragon not be awful. It's cool. Up next is March of Burgeoning Life. This is the green entry to the X spell pitch cycle. Choose creature with mana value less than X. Target creature. Search the library for a creature card with the same name as that creature. Put it on the battlefield tapped and then shuffle. Why? Like, I don't understand this card. So, like, you can target your opponent's stuff too, I guess. But, like, why do you want to double up on the same creature? And why in God's name would you pitch a card from your hand to do so at a cheaper rate? You already have the creature. Why do you need another one? And it's not even a commander card because you can't have to have the same creature in your freaking deck. So you can target their stuff, I guess. But yeah, this card sucks. I'm just done. Whatever. Next card. Matchless Rebuke. 2 mana instant. Just Rapid Bite, right? Creature you control does damage equal to its power. Target creature playing you don't control. Top flight limited card. Obviously great. Being an instant is huge. First pickable common. Orochi Merge Keeper. 2 mana for a 1/1 mana creature. As long as it's modified, it adds 2 mana. Not really great, because most modifications will have you wanting to get into combat. But as a mana creature for 2, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's just not super exciting. I'm not sure how you're modifying this and like actually wanting to use it for mana, but it's alright. Up next is Roaring Earth. 2 mana for an enchantment. Whenever a land ETBs under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature or a vehicle you control. It's like not great. You can channel it and put X +1/+1 counters on it on a land you control, which becomes a green spirit creature with haste. It's still a land. I mean, kind of like it's not great. If you cast this on turn 2, obviously, and you play like a 2-drop and play a land, it does modify, which is kind of sweet. But the rate here is not great. Every land up is a +1/+1 counter. You spent the card on this, didn't really get anything from it immediately. And the channel ability is also not great because you're getting a 4/4 for 6 mana, which is not very good either. Next card kind of sucks. Unless you're like utilizing the counters in some really, really good way, or like making a lot of land drops. I don't know. This card seems bad. It just seems bad. Season of Renewal. We have a 3-mana instant. Choose one or both. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Turn target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is like your quintessential like sealed grindy card. I'm sure if you were a slow draft that gets grindy, a lot of kill spells, this could work also. This card is only playable if you're returning both a creature card and an enchantment card. Sagas obviously die pretty easily though. Creatures die pretty easily. But this is the kind of card where like the ceiling is reasonable. It's a draw 2, but the floor is just nothing. It doesn't do anything. So not big on it. It's okay if you're like a slow grindy draft deck, but all in all, just not super great. Shigeki, Jakai Visionary. 2 mana for a 1/3 legendary snake druid. 2 mana to return this to your hand. Reveal top 4 cards of your library and put a land among them onto the battlefield. Tapped, the rest onto your graveyard. Then you can channel it green XX to discard it and return X non-legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. I think this card's a sleeper. I like this card a lot. So it's a 1/3 for 2, so it blocks okay enough, and it's not super easy to kill. Then you bounce it back to your hand, and you get to rampant growth and fill the graveyard. So if you're a deck that wants to fill the graveyard and also wants to get some lands in play, this does both pretty well. Is there a deck that wants that? Maybe not. And you got to recast it then, and then you got to like do it again or whatever. It's a little slow in that regard, but the card's kind of cool. I mean, probably not good enough, honestly, but it's cool. It's cool. And you pay for it with land, does feel pretty bad. But and then obviously you can return a card to your graveyard later, which is kind of cool. So it's a cool card. Good limited card for sure. It plays well. Obviously plays well with itself. You just kind of like keep doing the thing over and over again. But I don't know. I think like an outside shot constructed card. An outside shot constructed card. Up next is Spinning Wheel Kick. I did it. I am not flexible. I can't do that. I'm sorry. Green XX. Creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. Good limited card, obviously. For 6 mana, you can kill 2 things. That's really, really good. It's slow and clunky. You risk getting blown out. So it's kind of like the limited card where like it can be really good, but it's kind of risky. If your deck's like really, really good, you like might not play this card. But if your deck needs an extra boost or you need like a top end card, could be quite good. It is risky. Be wary of playing this card into open mana because you can get blown out. But if it's good, it's gonna be really good. So reasonable limited card. Spring Leaf Avenger. It's a trap. I'm not sure if folks are even overrating this card, but this card just seems so bad. This is a 5 mana 6/5. It's a green ninja, and it has ninja-ing for 4 mana. When it deals combat damage to a player, you return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. It's kind of big, but this card blows. This card, again, the ninja effects, I think for a ninja effect to be good, it has to be cheap. This is not cheap. It's not cheap at all. And it also isn't in the colors of like cheap, evasive, tricky things. Just like green. Just like, all right, wolf pack leader attack you. You're like, all right, sure, block it or kill it or whatever. So this card sucks. The appeal of it seems pretty sweet, right? I can bomb this in, get it for 6, get my card back, really, really cool, but it's just never gonna play out like that. In limited, sure, this card's great. Great and limited for sure. But in constructed, not even close to good. Not even close to playable. There are much better things to do with your mana on 4 and 5, for sure. For sure. Moving on to Story Weave. 3 mana instant. Choose one. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, or put 2 lore counters on target saga you control. The next time 1 or more enchantment creatures enter the battlefield this turn under your control, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. This card's pretty cool. Instant speed, 2 +1/+1 counters is pretty good. The tricks that leave material behind are really, really good. So like, I swing a 3/3, you block with a 3/3, I play a pump spell, but end up with a 5/5. That's a pretty good exchange. And then the lore counter thing here So you can speed your saga up, get your creature, it gets augmented. And if you're somehow able to play another enchantment creature also, that will also get augmented. So having that flexibility to be like this kind of like big, powerful effect or a good trick makes this card pretty reasonable. I like this card. And then yeah, it's also is a trick where they attack you, you bump your saga up, get your creature, it's really big, and block with it, which is awesome too. So this card's sweet. I like it a lot. Good, very good limited card. Very tricky limited card, very good limited card. Probably gonna be a high pick. And yes, all the chapters will trigger. I think. Up next is Tales of Master Cheshire. Oh, it's only the next. I'm sorry. Hold on. Time out. Next time, one or more. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so you can't double up on it, but still good. Up next is Tales of Master Cheshire. 5 mana, common saga. Put a counter on a creature or vehicle you control, and it gains vigilance end of turn. So honestly, a pretty good chapter 1 and 2. Mostly because of vigilance here, because this is the card that doesn't really have added to the board or defend itself. This allows your 4/4 to get in and also defend. That's pretty good. So pump a thing up, modify it, get in, and also with a block. Then do that again. Then chapter 3 flips, and we get a 5/5 vigilance haste, which is also pretty good. This card's good. This is good. Obviously, with no board, this card's terrible. But as long as you have a thing or two in play, this is very reasonable. And then the body you get's pretty good. A 5/5 haster. This does affect the board immediately when it comes into play. So, and it modifies things. Card's sweet. I like this card. I don't think it's great. I wouldn't want like a ton of these. But as far as like a good curve topper for your aggro deck, this is pretty reasonable. I think. Tales of Master Cheshire. Up next is Tamios Safekeeping. 1 green instant. Permanent you control against hexproof and indestructible at end of turn, and you gain 2 life. Yeah. Snakeskin Veil, this is not. No combat trick here. Means this card is only good against removal spells, really. Or if you're going to like have a trade-off and you can make it indestructible. But just not great. The life's kind of eh. It's not the worst card of all time. Probably a good sideboard card against removal heavy deck, but just not a great card. You know, why save your thing? You just play another good thing. You know, it's not great. In constructed, sure. If you're like playing a prowess deck or something like that, and you want to have a protection spell, but even then, like Snakeskin Veil is just better, right? So it's all right. It isn't any permanent, but like, how often is your opponent's targeting your... People just love cards like this, like Heroic Intervention and stuff like that. How often is your opponent like targeting your non-creature permanent with a non-exiling removal spell, and you have a mana up, and you want to save it, and this, and that, and this, and that? Just play another good card, you know? Like, so, moving on. Teachings of Akiran. Sleeper card, folks. Wake up. Teachings of Akiran here. 2 mana for a saga. It's a rare saga. Chapter 1. Mill 3 cards. Create a 1/1 token. Okay. Chapter 2. Put a counter on a creature you control. Okay. Chapter 3. Exile of a saga. Return to the battlefield. Transform it under your control. And you get a 1/1. That whenever it attacks, you can exile a creature card from a graveyard, make a token, or exile a non-creature and put a counter on this. So, this card is not a Mythic Dragon. This card is not a Wrath of God or a Planeswalker. What this card is a pretty good take on the Satyr Wayfinder effect. Alright, so this card is only good if you're using the graveyard for really good stuff. Right? So the big part here is mill 3, make a token. So, Satyr Wayfinder, but instead of a land, you get the rest of the saga. Chapter 2, put a counter on it. So now it's 2/2. Okay. Chapter 3, flip it over. Now you get a 1/1. And then if it attacks, you get some other stuff too. So it's basically just a 2 mana for a 2/2, a 1/1, and mill 3 cards. That's not bad at all. That's a pretty good rate. Again, if you are trying to mill stuff out from your graveyard. So if you're not playing a graveyard deck, this card is not a card you want. You don't just put this card in your deck, but if your deck is interested in milling and putting cards in the graveyard, this card does that at a pretty good rate. So again, a card that may never see play if there's no graveyard deck. But if there is a graveyard deck, this card's super sweet. I think this card's super cool sleeper. Maybe not even good now. And the thing is, people are very focused on the attack trigger on this, Don't even worry about that. You know, what this is a 2/2 and a 1/1. That's it. That's the floor. If you're able to attack with it and get a benefit, great. That's awesome. You know, but it's 2/2 and a 1/1 and it mills 3. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So I like this card a lot. It's a cool sleeper card. Good and limited. And then, of course, graveyard stuff going out to get Willowgeist. There are still graveyard things from Innistrad, which are pretty cool. Card sweet. Card sweet. I like it. Super cool card. As my sleeper pick, of course, not the best card of the set. It's a card that I think is being underrated. And card super sweet. Card super sweet. Up next is Weaver of Harmony. 2 mana for a bear. That is a lord for enchantment creatures. Okay. Pay green and copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. You may choose new targets for the copy. So this thing can copy sagas. It can copy other stuff as well, which is kind of cool. It's a lord. It's 2-drop. It's an enchantment. Again, being an enchantment itself is very good because it's self-perpetuating, which is nice. If for some sort of enchantment deck, it's pretty sweet. It's cool. It's a cool card. Great limited card, obviously. And then definitely could see constructed play. Copies channels also, if it's an enchantment. If it's an enchantment, that is true. That is true. And it could copy Banishing Light too. Yep, pretty sweet. Cool card. Cool card. I like it. Up next is Web Spinner Cuff. This is a good limited card. This is a good limited card. A 1/4 reach for 3 is already fine. It's an equipment. It's just, it's got reach reasonable. You put this thing on stuff, it's not going to die. If I have like a 4/4 in play, now I have a 5/8. That thing's never dying. So it triggers your modify stuff. Again, not like a super high pick or anything like that, but like it's a solid draft card. Solid draft card, huge butt. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Cool card. That's it. That's it for green. So, YouTube folks, I love you. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your best in show, your sleeper cards. Let me know what you think. All right, and I'll see you next video, which is going to be multicolored. YouTube folks, I'll see you. See you.